Hi-ho, this is Kermit the Frog, and you're listening to a brand new episode of the 12A podcast brought to you by the Four-Eyed Radio Network. Yay! If you would like to check out more shows, go to foureyeradio.com. Yay!
Hey there, Eric here from Socially Awkward Studios, and this Four-Eyed Radio presentation is being proudly brought to you by Raven Designs, illustration and design that fit your personality. For samples and inquiries, visit ravencruise.com.
Hey everybody, this is Jeff, and do we have a treat for you this week?
Hey, and this is Steve. We are going to do a little throwback week for you as far as the podcast goes. This is our very first podcast. It never aired. This was a beta podcast when we were testing it out. We just wanted to see if we'd really want to do this or not.
Apparently, I think we recorded this in a wind tunnel. At least that's what I'm thinking, kind of looking back at this and listening to it. We just had a shotgun mic, and it really was... One of the real charms of this is just kind of two guys kicking back, having a beer, and talking about movies, and it's good conversation. It's just fun listening back on that. I had a lot of fun listening to this again.
We enjoyed it, and listening back was a lot of fun, so we hope you do too. Here you go.
All right. So welcome to the podcast. Do we have a name for the podcast yet? Are we calling it?
I think we're currently just going to call it 12A.
12A?
Keep it short.
Okay. So
just a 12A beta podcast.
12A beta podcast.
Yeah. It'll be the first.
Season 1, Episode 1.
The test run.
The test run.
Yes. I'm Steve. My good friend Jeff.
I am Jeff. We have been friends since 98, I think I moved.
Yep, yeah. So whatever the math is on that, was at 14 years now.
Right.
So we've been friends for 14 years and making films and doing projects together for probably just as long. And I know we did it separately before that even. So
Yeah. Actually, I remember being at your house and seeing a Video Maker magazine on your counter. Mm-hmm. And I think that's kind of what triggered everything.
All right. Little background on myself as an introduction in the way of movies. The very first movie I ever saw in a movie theater was when I was growing up. I was not allowed to see movies in movie theaters. The first time I did was when my parents, we lived in Japan, and the first movie I saw was The Three Musketeers. And that was in like 93, 94.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. That was the very first movie I ever saw in the movie theater, and I've been totally hooked ever since then. Yeah, so that's there's my little tidbit on movies.
And what was when you first went into the movie theater? Because you had seen movies like at home on TV.
Yeah,
before,
home on
right?
TV, renting from wherever you rent from.
Right.
And so no, I'd see them all the time. So the first thing, and this was just a military based thing that was really cool. They always play the Star Spangled Banner. Everybody stands up, and there's a big flag there. It was a neat little thing that happened.
Like before the movie?
Basis. Before the movie, even. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was a
like
neat
you
thing.
go, you sit in the movie theater, and before they play the movie, they do this stuff.
Yeah, and you had the Star Spangled Banner playing, and so that was kind of a neat thing. But how big everything was. Like, it was just so much more real, and I wanted to sword fight after that. I felt totally embarrassed during the scene because of the amount of cleavage that was in that, and I didn't think I should be seeing that with my parents next to me.
Right.
I mean, this was just so many new things all of a sudden to me. I was, how old? I was like 14, I think, when that movie came out. Yeah.
Oh, wow, okay.
Yeah, 'cause it was like 93, yeah. So that was my delve into movies that led to now, and so there's so many rated R movies that we both know we need to catch up on.
Right, yeah, because I had the similar thing growing up, so we both missed out on the rated R action movies from the 80s. Yeah, because I had the same thing. I grew up in a house where we watched movies at home, but we weren't allowed to go to the movie theater. So my first movie was in Chandler at a theater that ironically has now been converted into a church.
That says a lot there.
Right. So my first movie was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Part 3.
The third one,
The third one,
you
yeah.
started late. Okay.
Yeah, so It was. I really wish I could have gotten in on 2 or one of the better turtle movies, but it was still pretty cool. Actually, what happened was my uncle came down from Oregon to visit, and he wanted to take his nephews to go see a movie. And he found out that we had never been to a movie theater before, and he was like, "Well, this is stupid." And then he somehow magically talked my parents into letting us go. And I remember for me, he took us to a matinee, and the movie had probably been out for a while. There was like hardly anybody in the theater. But I remember the thing for me is just, how big the screen was, which, in retrospect, it wasn't that big of a screen, but to me it was. And then the other thing, too, was surround sound. I was completely, and the idea of surround sound, I was just completely new to me.
And your introduction was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3, which, if I remember correctly, because I saw them in the theater too, that's one where they go back in time, right? And so, yeah, you're right. Yeah, unfortunately, it couldn't have been the first one or the second one,
right.
But that's okay. Good surround sound, so it can make even a worse movie okay.
Right. So, eventually maybe we'll have to do the catch up on 80s movies that we never saw. Yeah, we're neglected as conservative children.
Right, very conservative children. All that being said,
right.
Now we're going to unleash on you what we think of everything, whether it's movies, technology, the latest whatever gossip we find interesting. We're going to share it with you in our opinions, and we think you'll find it just as interesting as we do.
And what's not interesting as well, we have an idea that we want to play with. We have one segment that's called News That Should Die.
Yes.
There's stuff that we should just quit talking about, and we're not going to talk about it. We're just going to kind of give it its eulogy and
send it on its way.
Send it on.
Right.
But we're filmmakers. We love movies, and so we just want to kind of pull all of that into one big show for you guys, and we hope you like it. So we have some stuff to go over, and our first bit is a special segment for Steve. And Steve, I'll let you take over from here.
This is Steve's Romantic Friday movie choice, or how to get to second base for $1. Now, Redbox has been my recent favorite thing. I do a lot of streaming online. I haven't walked into a Blockbuster or anything like that to rent in forever. Ever since I was introduced to Redbox and the fact I can get it and my 44-ounce Thirst Buster, sold. So for $1, and this was the most recent movie that I rented, I say recent, about a month ago, and it was This Means War with Reese Witherspoon, Chris Pine, and Tom Hardy.
Right.
2 CIA agents, so you got lots of fun action. They inadvertently end up falling in love with the same girl, Reese Witherspoon, and it's all the chaos that endures through there. But they have this gentleman's bet that they will not, they will not sleep with her, and may the best man win, type of thing, and which goes along fine. And they're back and forth, and they're very kosher about the whole thing. And then one thing leads to another. They start using each other's teams to spy on each other, and there's great hilarity that ensues. So you've got the comedy, which is always a good thing. Comedy is a way to a woman's heart. I firmly believe that. That's why Jeff and I get so many women. So, you have the action. If you're the guy, you're into the action, you get that too. And Chris Pine is a good-looking guy. Tom Hardy's not bad, but Chris Pine, also in the Star Trek reboot, good-looking guy. She's going to like him. And if none of that works, always the way to second base is making her dinner. That's always a good backup plan. So if you can do that, but my suggestion is This Means War. You can't go wrong for $1, and there are some movies that I have gone wrong for $1 for. This is one that I truly actually enjoyed, and I know I laughed a couple of times, and it was just a feel-good romantic comedy type of movie. So.
Well, that's good to hear, because I have not seen the movie yet. It was one of the movies that I saw a trailer for, and I thought it could kind of go either way. And so I haven't seen it yet, but good. It's an enjoyable movie.
Yeah. There's a couple of silly scenes you'd love. Reese Witherspoon, her character is she tests products. So she's testing frying pans and everything else, doing that kind of thing. So she tests, so she knows a lot of stuff. So there's a great end fight scene type of thing where Reese Witherspoon's in the middle of it, but she remembers like how an airbag's supposed to implode and where you have to shoot the vehicle exactly because she knows where its weak points are and just all this little stuff. So her character is actually pretty decent in it. So yeah.
Okay, so it is funny.
It is funny,
and there's good action.
Good action. So you have gun shooting and fun fun stuff like that. In fact, the beginning whole sequence is just the Chris Pine and Tom Hardy's characters and their whole action fight scenes going on. So that's right from the get-go. You got action. Yep.
And then since we're trying to get to second base, is there some good romance for the girl in here?
There's good romance for the girl.
Okay.
Try not to give away too much. Tom Hardy's character has got a past relationship, and you want to see that men together.
Okay.
And you want Reese Witherspoon to get together with one of these guys. You can see, and so there's good romance. And as any perfect Hollywood movie should, everything ends up happy at the end.
That's good.
So it's none of this. We're going to walk away depressed with ourselves or anything. So
well, it's good. I love romantic comedies.
I won't spend money to see them very often in a theater, though.
Oh, really? And why is that?
No, because back to our whole beginning thing, like the big screen and the surround sound, if I'm paying $10 to go see a movie, I better be guaranteed I'm going to be laughing through most of it, or it just needs to be stupid, ridiculous amounts of Transformers explosion or something like that.
Right.
I am really hard pressed, and dramas are even I really got to be attached to the story if I'm going to go sit in the theater. Because if it's a rental, I can just walk away real easily. I have a hard time with paying for a movie and then walking out of movies. I know people who have done that before, they didn't like it or something like that, and it was no, I need to sit through this no matter how bad it is because I paid the money for it.
Right.
So, and I feel kind of crummy if I start theater hopping. So,
right, which we won't. But now you're married,
yeah.
And what's your wife think about romantic comedies?
She truly enjoys them.
Yeah.
Romantic comedies. She will go and see them at the theater all the time. A lot of times, and welcome to married life, she'll go see it with a couple of her girlfriends, which is okay by me, honestly.
Right.
But yes, romantic comedies, and she was actually probably the one that originally chose This Means War, because I thought it kind of looked a little cheesy when I saw the previews for it, and I was like, it's just going to be a silly romantic comedy thing.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, that's good, and I enjoy the romantic comedy too, and I like the ones that you said end up all happy ending at the end. There are a few exceptions, like 500 Days of Summer. Have you seen that?
I loved it,
Right.
but that's a romantic comedy type of thing that my wife will hate, and I don't think
Really?
she liked it. We saw it in the theaters.
Okay.
I loved it. I loved the whole thing. I knew what her name was going to be too. I turned to Tiffany and I said, her name's going to be Autumn. It's got to be Autumn. It's got to be. I loved it. I loved the way it was edited. I loved the way it was cut. Such a good movie. Yeah.
But she did not.
But she did not, and it's because of it didn't have that happy-go-lucky. I didn't say
right.
she hated it or anything.
Right.
She did like it, but I think she would have preferred if Summer was there in that room when she walked
Right.
in, and not this new girl named Autumn. And
Right.
I just thought, perfect. This is true life.
Oh, yeah.
This is what happens. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember. I don't typically like more down, and that's not a full-on downer ending. It's still kind of a happy ending, but it's still not really kind of the nice tied up loose end that you would expect. But the other. So I remember being pleasantly surprised that I liked the ending, and then the other thing I remember is Steve would love this movie, and I think I texted you after I watched it.
Yeah, no, and I think you were the reason that we went to see it, and I did love the movie. I actually, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, it rekindled my I liked him in Third Rock from the Sun. I thought he was funny, cute, but that rekindled my this guy is really good. And then after Inception,
Right.
and I haven't seen the new Batman movie, but I know he's in. In Inception just blew me away. That his action, I love
Yeah.
him. And so far, the last handful of things he's been in have been awesome. So,
And he 50-50. Have you seen that?
or have not yet. No,
Great.
No, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of second base movies, it was great for me and my wife. Because I've said this a number of times, but when we go see a movie and you say, I want to see a good movie, that means something a little bit different for everybody. Mm-hmm. If I say I want to go see a good movie, it means I want to laugh, I want to be entertained, see some cool action, stuff like that. So good movie, I'm laughing. Okay, good movie. If Shireen watches a good movie, she can cry. Mm-hmm. And so this movie has both of that. So there's laughing, there's crying, and it's a good story. It's well told. It's not it has to deal with a guy going through cancer.
Cancer, right? Okay, yeah.
And so it doesn't it doesn't treat it with disrespect. I think it's very respectful, not having gone through cancer, but it seems that it was a very respectful film. But it was hilariously funny at some points, and it was, tug at your heartstrings and your tear strings at other points. So we both left happy. That was so. Maybe that'll be for...
There you go. So you have your own romantic comedy, How to Get to Second Base movie, and you'd say 50-50 is your choice.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Beautiful. Yeah. All right. We both stream a lot, right?
Yep.
So
Netflix.
We've got Netflix, both of us, and we thought we'd share with you some of our recent Netflix watches or what's in our instant queue right now.
Right.
So Jeff, what do you have as your recent watches on Netflix?
A few things. The big thing for me is Burn Notice. They just added season 5. Have you ever seen the show?
I've caught maybe a dozen episodes.
Okay.
Yes, I do like the show. Yes,
it's one of those shows that I people told me I would like. I kind of saw previews for. I thought, but I like starting at the beginning. I don't like jumping in the middle of these TV shows. So, and it's good because it's this big soap opera drama. And they just added the first 4 seasons in February, and I annoyed my wife because I had to watch all of them. Because once I started, I couldn't stop because each episode is kind of semi-soap opera.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So there's this story about how he was this CIA guy and how he got burned, but he kind of got kicked out. And so there's this kind of continuing story about him trying to figure out who burned him and who got him kicked out and what happened and who are these people and why it happened. But in each of the episodes, they're basically, so he's in Miami, he's stuck in Miami. Mm-hmm. And so he has a new case every week. So each episode, there's somebody in need of a help. The police can't help him. The government can't help him.
Right.
But he has all these cool spy tricks. So he ends up helping somebody each episode. It's still a self-contained episode, but there's still this kind of growing story arc throughout the entire season. And they just added season 5, so I just started working my way through that. Season 6 is on USA right now. And it's great. It's another one of those great spy, counterintelligence, really kind of clever stuff. How do you do that type stuff? It's funny. It's really witty. It's sleek. It's sexy. You've got the hot girl with the guns and the explosions,
right?
And
what's his name? The comedy relief, and
Bruce Campbell, the indie legend, and so that's definitely high on my list. I'm working through that right now. A show that I know I told you about, Come Fly With Me.
Yes, which I watched the first episode of, and it was hilarious. And until you told me, I didn't realize that was the same people throughout that whole episode.
Yeah, it's the same
I just thought they were really ugly-looking people.
Yeah, it's a British show, and they only have one season. I don't know how long it lasted, but it's only 10 episodes or something like that. And it's these 2 guys, and it's this fake documentary that happens in an airport, and it's really the characters, I think, that that make it funny.
Right.
It's good. And then the last thing is Woody Allen, the documentary. It's this recent PBS documentary that they did on Woody Allen, and it's 2 parts, and each part is 2 hours, and it's just kind of a documentary of his life and his movies and his early days as a comic. Really good. As a filmmaker, I really am realizing how much I identify with him, even though I never had thought much about that. There's some of his movies I kind of liked, but I never thought that I would identify with him that much as a filmmaker until I watched this documentary. So it's really good.
Okay. All right.
And how about you, Steve?
My list, okay, and these are I've watched. There's a couple of these that are just still in my queue that I haven't watched, but Limitless, which was the Bradley Cooper movie where he's pretty much completely down on his luck type of guy. He's a writer, not going anywhere. Old buddy his he runs into gives him this drug that's going to help him out. Next day, he's got this amazing manuscript he wrote, and his publisher loves it. So he's got more of these pills, and what it is it's releasing synapses in your brains or whatever, just making you super smart. You're able to see ahead and see 50 different choices at once type of thing. So really cool thing. I am a new father. I have a 1-year-old son now, and when I watched this movie, he was like 7 or 8 months old, so I got a lot of interruptions, so I missed a lot of the middle of the movie.
Right.
But I left it in my queue because the end of the movie and what happens like totally twisted around for me, because I all of a sudden realized I need to pay attention to the rest of this, because this was a good left turn that just happened.
Oh, wow.
So without giving it away, it actually, and Bradley Cooper is another guy that I like, mainly because the only TV to movie remake I remotely enjoyed is the A-Team.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
It is the only TV movie remake that I think is good. But yeah, Bradley Cooper. So that's why. So we'll move on from there. But I've got to watch it to get the middle of it now. I've had too many interruptions with the baby. So Workaholics, which is a Comedy Central TV series, pretty much about these three guys who live together, and they just recently, in this current season, had a back history one where you find out that they all first smoked pot together, and it was while they were in college, and ended up dropping out of college and living together. That's why they're together now. I've really only seen like the first half of the first season, but it's just stupid funny, and it's quick because it's like, without the commercials, it's like 22 minutes an episode. So it's just quick, funny. It's a good laugh. If I'm up in the middle of the night, that's what I will play, and then I'll fall back asleep.
Really? That's good to know, because I wasn't expecting that much when I've seen previews for that, so I'll have to check that out.
It's silly. Just watch the first episode, and if you like the first episode of season 1, it's that kind of stupid humor. Just to quickly, they have drug testing that's happening at their workplace. They all know they're going to fail. They need to figure out where to get clean piss. They go to a school and start yelling at the kids at the playground because they're all the adult friends they know are going to fail too. So they go to the school to try and barter with this kid. And this kid's slick. And he says he wants ninja stars. So they got to find... So it just escalates to this stuff. And then at one point, they don't get clean piss. So one of the guys does this whole Mission Impossible thing, gets into the room where they have all the cups of the piss, and he pees into all of them, so everybody fails. That's the movie. So it's stupid humor stuff. But anyways, that's this TV series.
Okay. All right, I'll watch an episode.
Tucker and Dale vs. Evil, which I've already told Jeff he needs to watch, is a twist on horror movies where Tucker and Dale are the bad guys who you think are going to kill you, and there's half a dozen of these college students out on a vacation, and they're in their bikinis and swimming in the pool, all this other stuff. One thing leads to another. The college kids end up dying off, and they all think it's Tucker and Dale, but Tucker and Dale are just these two boys who get this cabin, and they're just we're just here to fish, and we're fixing up our cabin. These kids are dying around us everywhere, and so they think these kids are in a suicide pact because they keep dying randomly and around them, and the kids think that Tucker and Dale are killing them. So just a great little twist up on that genre there. The last two on my list I have not watched yet. One's called ZA, Zombies Anonymous, and the other is called Zombies, AHH Zombies. The only reason they're tagged on there is because I had this thing like a year ago, and I still haven't watched them, where I wanted to see if there's anything that was a twist on the zombie genre from the aspect of a zombie. And both these movies are movies that are about the zombies and how hard their life is integrating into living with humans.
No way, really?
Yes. And so one of them is actually they're a married couple, and she ends up getting the disease and becoming a zombie, and she's got to figure out how to do life. And the zombies are seen as second-class citizens, but they're trying to integrate into, and so it's like, hello, my name is Steve, I'm a zombie. Oh, hi, Steve. I haven't eaten anybody in 2 days. It's that kind of a thing. So I haven't watched either one, but they're twists on the zombie stories. That's why they're sitting in my queues.
Are they recent movies or are they older movies?
Both older movies and independent movies.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, low budget. So it just looked like interesting stories. Something that I had this project idea in my head I wanted to follow up on. And what it is I envision like this ugly-looking, beat-up person, and sitting there with smoking a cigar, giving wisdomly advice to children. He's a zombie, but he speaks perfectly good English, youngs. Yes, and we, and so just a twist on the whole, eating brains thing. So.
Nice. Well, if you get around to watching those, you'll certainly have to give us an update and let us know.
Definitely.
If they live up to the funny premise, because it sounds good.
Yeah.
So speaking of all this streaming movies, we thought that we would have a discussion CNET actually posted a news article, which we can pull up here.
Yeah, and I saw this news article when you shared it. I was totally blown away by this. I would have bet money against this, but maybe that's just me. I didn't realize how many people, and I don't know who I can piss off when I say this, in the Midwest have no clue what the internet is. I really thought, because all of my movie watching personally is through Netflix, or since we have HBO, the HBO Go app is awesome, and I just watch stuff on our PC or our iPad or whatever. But the only time I ever get a movie is the Redbox, and that honestly is pretty rare. I mean, I canceled our DVD Netflix thing forever ago because we just stream this stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it looks like 62% of all movie rentals in the first half of the year, according to this NPD group survey that they did, were people who were renting DVDs and Blu-rays through retail stores and kiosks and Netflix. So your Redbox would be a part of that, your local Blockbuster store, if they're still around anywhere, and Netflix, like Steve said, if you have the DVD subscription thing.
So, and as you get further into it, what's really cool, they broke it up into where they're renting from and everything. And what surprised me, of that 62%, and this is because of what Jeff said, is that 14% are brick-and-mortar buildings.
Right.
I couldn't tell you where there's an open Blockbuster here, and I don't know where else you rent movies from brick-and-mortar wise. So that blew me away.
Yeah, well, you know what's interesting, though, is we live here in the suburban Phoenix area. But when Shereen and I drove up to Oregon, we stayed at a small town I used to live in called Coquille, Oregon. And it's a small town. It's probably got 3,500 people, less than 4,000 people there. And when I lived there were probably 2 or 3 video rental brick-and-mortar stores. But now there's one, and I didn't see any kiosks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they still went to the Timber Country Video. That is kind of the center hub for DVD people.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if maybe most of those are from smaller markets as opposed to Phoenix, LA, Chicago, Denver.
Yeah, because that would make more sense to me in like a larger metropolitan area that you're doing the mail thing, and maybe that's part of let's just get into humanity, but in a large metropolitan area, you're so used to go and fast. You can check your mail, your movie's there.
Right.
You know, I get my Redbox when I'm already getting my gas and getting my Mountain Dew at Circle K. It's all a one-stop shop thing. I'm not going out of my way to go to a Blockbuster, but in whatever the population is of Coquille, Oregon, that's Saturday night out is going down to the rental thing, which I totally get. I remember that as a kid when I grew up living in Prescott. Prescott was a small town, 20 years ago when I lived there. 27 years ago now when I lived there, so and that's what we would do. We would go out and we'd rent movies from like the local grocery store because they had a little where you rented movies from. Yeah. So
I miss it. Because we would go there. I remember where we went as a kid. They'd always have like popcorn and maybe a couple arcade games. So maybe you'd get to play a game or you'd get some popcorn to take home while you're there. And some of them had just cool things that they would do in the store. One place here in Phoenix had like a little castle and they put all their kids' movies in there and stuff like that. And then as I got older, I would buy, they'd have the movie posters hanging up on the wall, and the lady would let me buy movie posters, and I had all these movie posters up in my wall. So that, and then the other sad thing about them going away is if you want to see a new release, Transformers just came out, you run down to Redbox, whatever. They have the other 3 pretty easily available. But a couple years ago, there was this like off-the-wall Jack Nicholson movie from like 1972 that I wanted to go see. And if Netflix doesn't carry it, which is they're kind of a crapshoot whether they have it or not, it's like where do you go now to get a movie like that?
Right.
It's difficult. You can't go down to Best Buy and get it. You can't get it. It's like where do you go to get these movies?
Yeah, I cannot remember the name over in Chandler, and it wasn't a Blockbuster, wasn't anything like that. Video Paradise. That's what
Oh,
it was.
yeah, it was
Video
huge.
Paradise was huge, and they had the off the wall. They also had the go past the curtain to get to the porn section. I mean,
yeah.
they had everything there.
Yeah, it was actually a converted grocery store that went out of business.
Oh, really?
It was,
Oh, okay. When Gone in 60 Seconds first came out,
Okay.
when I found out that was a remake, I was like, I got to find the original and go and watch it.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was the only place I could find it to rent was there because they had all these old collectibles, and that was before all the streaming stuff was
Right.
like this now or anything. But yeah, and there is something to be said to be able to, especially like just walking up and down the aisles. I think it's very different than clicking through a catalog on Netflix or something when you're browsing through a whole bunch. To be able to just walk in and seeing all the covers and stuff, that I do miss from a Blockbuster or a Video Paradise. Yeah.
Right, and then the other thing too is being able to watch it on the go. Shereen and I have these date nights that we'll do every once in a while, where we'll just take the laptop and a blanket and some popcorn or something, and we'll go down to a park at evening, and we'll watch a movie out in the park.
Cool.
So it's kind of cool if you have the DVD. You can pop it in and play it. But if you're streaming, then you can't get it unless you have one of those cards for
the
cell
Wi-Fi.
phone.
Yep.
Right.
Mhm.
Which you could do that with an iPad pretty easily, but I would imagine that's going to really eat into your data to stream a movie for 2 hours.
Which is actually for another episode, but I've been thinking about doing something like that and seeing how much that costs through like Verizon or something.
Yeah.
Because I so little use my cable TV, and I'm like, shoot, if we just cancel the cable TV, saving that money, and then, well, if I cancel my cable internet, will I be able to just off of one of those cards, because we don't use a ton of bandwidth, but it would be up there. I don't know. Anyway, there's another episode, but that's something I've been thinking about recently.
Well, it's certainly a popular idea.
Yeah.
Do you still buy DVDs?
No.
No, really?
I do not. The DVD collection that I have is the DVD collection. This is going back. Jeff and I used to live together.
Yeah.
And we lived together for 4 years, 5 years? I don't know. We lived together for quite a few years.
Yeah.
But we had a wall just covered in DVDs. And the DVDs that I had when we lived together are the same DVDs I have now. I don't think I've purchased anything new.
Really?
Yeah, there maybe are half a dozen new movies in that collection. But I don't. I rent or I stream. Yeah,
Which is
everything.
funny because I remember right around that time, you bought the movie Empire Records.
Empire Records, yeah.
And I remember you said the phrase, "My DVD collection is now complete." And I thought no, but it sounds like that may have been true.
That very well was true, and I still have that Empire Records on DVD. Yes, so.
And see, I think that's one point where you and I differ is that I still love owning movies. I'll buy a movie on sale every chance I get.
Really?
I do. I just because I never got over having that library. And if you go in my bedroom, there's a stack like halfway to the wall of that's like 10 rows deep that I've been collecting over the years of DVDs and Blu-rays and TV series. And there's some sort of satisfaction I get out of owning it and having my library that I can admire and knowing I don't need to rely on an internet connection or a subscription service or whether Redbox has it. I like the movie and it's there if I want it, and I can let someone borrow it if they want it. Or
yeah. My ways have changed. I am connected to the internet to the point to where I'll be calling you if there's a movie I can't find anywhere. Apparently, but I get that. My father-in-law cannot stand buying an album on iTunes. He won't do it because he feels like it's a rip-off. He wants the cover. He wants the disc.
Really?
He'll buy. He loves record stores. He'll go to it. He'll buy the CD and then he'll burn it to put it onto his onto his Zune. I'm sorry, he's that
what?
old.
No way, really?
Zune, yes.
A Zune?
He still
A real
owns
Zune?
a real Zune.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, before they discontinued, and loves that thing.
Well, no wonder he doesn't like iTunes.
He owns a Zune. His both his daughters own iPhones, and his wife owns an Android phone. So they are a very mixed family there. But yes, he still owns a Zune, and he loves that thing to death. And whatever. But
Does he still use a beeper?
No, I think he's got rid of the
Nintendo with a
pager.
Power Glove?
No, it's not that bad.
Okay.
It's not that bad. Anyways.
I'll have to give him some crap and a fax later on.
That's the only way to communicate with the man.
So, speaking of streaming movies, we want to introduce you guys to viral videos that we find online. And this is just a fantastic idea. This actor, I guess he's had a few bit parts and things. He started doing dramatic readings of Yelp reviews.
This is an awesome idea, and we would love to continue doing this with different stuff. And he's going to pull up one of these right now so we can watch it. I didn't realize people do this until Jeff introduced me to this, but this is the best way to read a review. And this review, we're gonna play the 4-star one.
Yeah, the female.
Right. It's this female 4-star review, and this is word for word. She is reading what this person wrote, and whoever wrote this is great at writing. And I don't know if they meant for it to come across like this or what they meant, but it's just a great idea. We're gonna have some fun with this ourselves too. But here's the real actors reading Yelp reviews.
And this is just what... There's two of them up right now. There's the guy, I guess, who started it did, and then this girl. And get through the ad. And okay, here we go.
A dinner at Tamarind of London is an unforgettable experience not to be missed. The restaurant is beautiful, the food is fantastic, and you will be thinking about your meal long after it's over. We started our night with almond and date naan, which was sweet and delicious. The buttered chicken, which is known in most places as makhni, was tender, moist pieces of dark meat chicken smothered in this delicious sauce with tomatoes, honey, cardamom, and what I'm assuming is a pound of laxatives. 3 greens sag was delicious. It was cooked wonderfully, and there was no butter or cream, but fresh kale and spinach and mustard greens. It was hearty, bold, and certainly capable of demolishing even the stiffest of constipation. White dude working the tandoors. You go, sir. The tandoori prawns were cooked beautifully, seasoned to perfection, and tore through me with the awesome fury of the horsemen of the apocalypse. Bravo. Bravo. The duck biryani. It's a special not on the menu. I would have to say it's not worth it. It's 2 cups of rice and a duck thigh, and we were surprised to discover later that it was $28. My date thought it was going to be around $8. My meal was delectable, exotic, and incinerated everything in my intestines. My morning was an unforgettable thrill ride. The exotic flavors and aromas of India came flooding back to me as I literally peed out my butt. 4 stars for the truly delicious food and unimpeachable service. -1 star for the expensive biryani and for turning me into a human flamethrower.
Yeah, I love that. Everything about that, I just so well read. What was it? The white guy manning the tandoori station, dude.
Yeah. And tore through me like the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Oh my goodness gracious, that is... If that's not poetry, I don't know what is.
Yeah. All right, so we'll be hopefully finding some more of those, doing a few of our own actually too, as we find some, just to have some fun with that. But we think this is a great idea. If you have any, definitely share them with us and let us know on our website. So, sad news in history.
Yes.
Fay Ray has passed away.
Well, she did.
Oh, she did.
In 2005. This
Yeah.
is just sort of the anniversary of her death.
Right.
Basically, we want to do a little thing. I really love film history, and this sort of forces me to continue my education. But it was 2005. Sorry. So this day in August, so August 8th, it would have been in 2004. Fay Ray passed away. And she was the actress in the original King Kong, where King Kong, grabbed her and went up the Empire State Building.
For the 30s, right?
For the 30s.
Yeah, okay.
Now, of course, King Kong has been remade. King Kong came out in 33, and then Son of Kong, the sequel to it, actually came out the same year.
Really?
Yeah, and wasn't as big of a critical success, but it actually did really well at the box office. And then, of course, they made several, Kong versus Godzilla and all these different things. And then in '75, Jeff Bridges was in the big spectacular remake. I think it was '75, something like that, and it was a huge flop and didn't do well. And then, of course, in 2005, Peter Jackson, of course, brought it back, and it made a fantastic movie that did really well with Naomi Watts. And actually, they had they wanted Fay Wray to come back and reprise her role. I don't know how that would have worked. I thought Naomi Watts was her role, but they wanted her to at least come back and have a bit in
a cameo.
Yeah, in the cameo in the remake, but her health was failing, and she passed away before they finished the film. So it was just a month shy of her 97th birthday. So Fay Wray, here's to you, and thank you for a great movie.
I think I'm going to like this. I'm not that into the history of movies like Jeff is, so this is be a good thing. Now I've learned something. See, I went and thought she died recently when you were telling me about her, and here it is. I'm just a few years behind in my times. That's okay.
Well, however, I did find out about this on Focus Features. Has this today film in focus, a flashback like today in film history thing, and I didn't see this at the bottom of the page. But today is Dustin Hoffman's birthday. And he was born in 1937.
Holy cow! What?
I know, right?
That sounds ancient to me.
Well, it's. I mean, it's odd. The Graduate. How that was in 60s. Sometimes in the 60s.
Yeah.
I remember in the intro of that, it was one of the first times they had a kind of pop song as sort of a part of that. But
75 years old then.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, happy birthday to Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
1937, 4 years after King Kong.
Yes.
So,
4 years after King
yes.
Kong.
So his parents probably saw it. So
right. Well, and then we figured, as long as we're talking about film history and all that, talk about today. And today's box office report. Of course, this is old news. This is last weekend. Give you the box office report. Dark Knight, of course, took the day with $35.7 million, giving them a total gross. They're really close to $400 million. I don't think that they're going to catch up with the Avengers like a lot of people thought it might, or even the last Batman movie. I think maybe just the shooting and the length of the movie. And
how long is it? It's 3 hours, right? Or?
It's about 3 hours, and it
wow.
kind of takes you all over the place, and it.
Sorry to interrupt. When you're done with this list, I'm going to tell you right now, looking at the top 10 here, I have actually seen one of these movies.
Have you?
I don't usually go and see movies in the theaters right now, having a kid and everything else,
right.
Stuff to do, but I actually have seen one of these movies. So once you're done with the list, I'll let you guess which one you think I might have seen. So,
okay. All right. So
we'll play a little game here.
Second place was Total Recall, a little disappointing, 25.6. And Diary of a Wimpy Kid, 14.6, not as big. I had two other of those had come out.
Too close to an action movie, though, in the first weekend for my taste. But
and then Ice Age, I think they're on the third one now, is 8.6.
It's a third or fourth one. I can't believe how well these do. Because it's in its fourth week and $132 million. I mean, that seems good to me for a sequel of a sequel of a sequel.
Right.
So, but more proud to them. I mean, animated, the kids stuff is the way to go for some guaranteed money, I guess.
And I haven't seen this, but I still like the little scratch cartoons that come out. So they're at 132 overall. The Watch, which I think is a parody of a great web series called HOA Police.
Completely agree.
They 6.53. They had a 25 total, so not too good. And surprising considering the huge star power that's in that movie.
It's surprising, but when I saw the preview for it, I thought it's not going to do that well because it looked like it. I feel like ever since The Hangover, there's been this huge amount of really raunchy comedies.
Right.
And maybe it was before The Hangover. I don't know. That's just the one I correlated with. But
right.
I felt like it was just it was rated R, so I knew it was going to push tons of stuff over the edge, and it just wasn't going to be unique. So, I mean, I'm not too surprised, but it is unfortunate because of the star power that's in it, because there are some funny people in the movie.
Yeah,
but
I agree. And then Step Up Revolution,
which is something that should probably die. We should put that on our list of
we
things that
should
die. Step Up movies.
And I would agree with you. So I won't even give you their total gross.
Okay,
We're going to stop talking now. Ted was 5.6, but they crossed the 200 million mark. They're at 204. Wow. The Amazing Spider-Man, 4.4. They did 251 million so far, and I'm sure that's one of the movies that's doing great overseas. Brave, the Pixar movie, is still on the top 10 list at number 9 with nearly 3 million, totaling 223. It's actually the oldest movie on the top 10 in 7 weeks now. And then finally, Magic Mike, the stripper men movie, 1.41 at 111 million now. So, I don't know, the one that you have seen...
I've seen one of these 10 movies. I was surprised because, like, nope, I haven't seen this. Oh, wait, there is a movie on there I've seen.
Okay, all right. Well, I don't know. I'm going to say... The Amazing Spider-Man. I think that's something you would see.
No, I have not seen The Amazing Spider-Man.
Wow.
I actually was surprised Amazing Spider-Man has done $251 million because I feel like since its opening weekend, I haven't heard a thing about it.
Right.
Like, I feel like it totally went under the radar. And so I'm surprised, and happily surprised, because I'm all for reboots, because I love the Dark Knight series. I think that is a great reboot right there of a series. So hopefully this will do the same with Amazing Spider-Man. But no, I have not seen The Amazing Spider-Man. I've seen the movie Ted.
Oh, yeah.
Everything we've talked about comedies and everything else and all this stuff, I actually have seen the movie Ted, and I loved it.
Did you really?
I really did. I laughed a lot. And it is a raunchy comedy. It is just because of the fact it is this teddy bear who is raunchy. And the fact that I love the fact it's not a pretend teddy bear. He's in real life. He has a job. He drives a car. He's a washed-up child star is what it is. Because when he gets wished alive, everybody in the neighborhood knows, and he's on Johnny Carson, and they do great like CG him into actual Johnny Carson episodes and stuff. But he's like, and he has this great thing, and then he has this fallout as he gets older, and so he's a washed-up child star. So he used to be, and so they play on that, and I actually really enjoyed it. It was raunchy, but it was really funny. Yeah.
So it's not sort of the one joke movie that gets old in the first 20 minutes?
I didn't think so, no.
Oh, okay.
No, I didn't think so, and I liked some of the cameos, and I think they've got to be cameos because they were fans of
Seth MacFarlane?
Yeah, Seth MacFarlane's.
Oh, I'm sure.
Because... I'm totally blanking on it. There's a few different cameos in there, but there's one that is a guy that he doesn't realize he's gay, but he wakes up in the morning and he's got weird bruises, and all he remembers is drinking with one of his buddies, and they keep trying to tell him you're gay, and so finally he admits to it, but he walks into the party holding hands with, and I'm going to have to go back to this with who it was, with this guy who is a famous actor. And the guy doesn't say a single word during the whole entire movie, just holds his hands and kisses him. And I'm like, whoa. No, he's like been a main guy in other movies. How is this? And it's so there's different things like that. There's but there are a few one jokes. I mean, the drugs thing is throughout it because, I mean, they smoke a lot of pot throughout the whole thing. So so there are a few of those one joke things. But I think it was just the concept that it was just this teddy bear that's everybody sees and knows is real and stuff like that. So,
yeah, well...
my favorite shot from it, though, and you can find the scene on YouTube, and I suggest looking at it, and if you don't laugh at that, don't go seeing the movie, there's a scene where he has been captured, and the person who captured him is dancing to a Tiffany song, and it's hilarious as he's drinking out of the straw, and it's just totally gay, but funny. But anyways, yeah.
Okay, well, I that was another movie that I saw the trailer for, and I thought, it might just be a one joke thing that gets old, but I hear a lot of good things about it. So I may add that to my list of things to go see whenever I can.
All of this being said, and everything we've just talked about, and we probably don't have a whole lot of time to go over this, so the trend of movie remakes and sequels. I brought this up because I don't know if there's like an original idea left. Right. Like there's original ways to tell stories. 500 Days of Summer. I think that was a great original way to tell this romantic story. Going back and forth in the way it was cut and everything. But there's so many different things that are remakes, and this brings up. I loved the A-Team. That's the only TV to movie remake I've loved. I could not stand Dukes of Hazzard. I loved the show. I hated the movies. I don't know what to think because I really liked Alf, and now they've greenlit Alf, and they're making a movie.
Right.
So it's really hit or miss, and I'll probably go see Alf, and it'll probably be Jeff and I the one seeing it opening weekend.
Right.
Because we both love the show.
That's why I refuse to watch the Smurf movie, and I hear people who have said that I should go see it anyways, but it's just one of those things. It's like, hey, is this going to ruin, all my childhood memories? I don't know.
Yeah, and then all the Gone in 60 Seconds, the remake, Total Recall that's out right now.
Right.
All these other that are getting, I guess they're not they're reboots is what they're calling them.
Yeah, I mean,
a term for them.
If we go back to the top 10, I mean, it's amazing if you look at how many movies are greenlit and the movies that are coming out. I mean, you'd be surprised how many of them are based on a book or something that's previously been written, and it's. I don't think it's because there's a lack of original ideas and screenplays. But, I mean, Dark Knight Rises, it's a sequel and based on comics. Mm-hmm. Total Recall is a remake. Diary of a Wimpy Kid is, the third, and even the original was based on a book. I think all these are based on books, a book series. Ice Age is a sequel. The Watch, I guess that's original, but it's not doing too well. Step Up is a sequel that should have died a long time ago. Yeah. Ted, original. Spider-Man, based on other stuff. Brave, Pixar, one of the very few companies that almost exclusively does these really amazing original pieces. Right, yeah. And Magic Mike, which I think is original.
It is, and apparently based off of the story of his life.
So it's based off a real story?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not...
Yeah. So it's not even necessarily original, but what's it? Channing Tatum.
It's based on his life?
Yes, it's a story based off of him being a stripper. Yes.
Really?
I read this article, I was like, what? Yeah, apparently it's based off of that. Yeah, so anyways. Back to my previous thing, I looked it up real quick. Ryan Reynolds plays that part where he's this gay guy kisses him, and he's in 2 short scenes. Ryan freaking Reynolds. Yeah, I couldn't wait. Giovanni Ribisi, though, is the guy who is dancing to the song Tiffany. And I'll have to send you the YouTube link. We'll put it up on our website, but it's hilarious little scene. Yeah.
Well, cool. In all this talk of movies and stuff like this, and of course the big thing right now on TV is the Olympics. Have you been watching the Olympics?
I have. I've been watching. I really enjoy the diving.
Yeah. Really? Okay.
I didn't realize until I was up late one night that there's actually trampoline.
Yeah, I saw that.
I had no clue. We used to own trampolines growing up. I thought that was really cool. And then my big thing is beach volleyball. I am hardcore love the beach volleyball. Love the women's team. Yeah, so I make sure to watch all that. Tiffany is really into a lot more of it than I am. She loves all the gymnastics. So,
well, speaking of gymnastics, I had a theory I wanted to post. I found that there's an article on the Hollywood Reporter that talks about Olympians who go on to be movie stars, and I think they mentioned Odd Job from the James Bond movie. Goldfinger was an Olympian. Bruce Jenner, the Kardashian.
Okay, so that was the only one I know is Bruce Jenner. It's because of the Keeping with the Kardashians.
And there were a couple others. Not a lot of really big. I remember there was one girl who did Peter Pan on Broadway, and they made a movie of that, and that was the Peter Pan movie I always watched as a kid. But so here's the theory I wanted to pose. Could Gabby Douglas, the gymnast, the first African American to win the all-around gold medal in gymnastics, could she be the next big-time action hero?
I'm glad you said action hero, because I picture her and I was like, and I just picture like Like, she's got these ridiculous legs that look like they could do a chokehold on me and kill me, but she's got this intense face, too.
Yeah.
Like, I really think she's got this great face that she would make a good action hero. Like, and I don't know how serious I think. I don't know if I'm thinking maybe more of like a Jackie Chan kind of action hero or something, but that would get you leaning towards the failing as a B-movie type of action hero. But I could see that happening, yeah.
Well, she's got this really pretty smile that makes it, right. So and then but then she's also got like the intense, super focused, like laser beam. I'll mess you up. And then obviously she's a gymnast, so she can do all these cool moves. And I mean, how cool would that be in fight scenes? And didn't we see someone on this list who actually did a gymnastic?
Yeah, it was called Jim Kata, and he was in the '76 Olympics along with Bruce Jenner. Kurt Thomas, that's who it was. But he did a movie called Jim Kata, and let me see if I can find the review thing for you here. All right. Kurt Thomas had to endure the withering reviews that accompanied his starring role in 1985's Jim Kata, quite possibly the greatest gymnastics as martial arts movie of all time. Which I know they're saying sarcastically, just from the little screenshot that they have up here of it and him and some Chinese girl staring at him with a knife. I need to see if I can find this, but I'm going to have to probably go to Video Paradise to find it.
Probably. Just something to think about. So let us know, if you guys would, what you guys think. Could Gabby Douglas be the next big-time action hero?
Or if you have somebody else that's a favorite in the Olympics that you think might be able to be a big-time action hero, who would your vote be for that person? So
exactly.
They are definitely all athletes way above and beyond me. So,
well, we're starting to run down on time here a little bit, so we'll skip ahead a little bit and then we'll backtrack if we can. But since we talked about it a little bit earlier in the episode today, we at least wanted to mention the news.
Not to discuss that should die.
Right. So we'll get a little bit of background music here for you. And
these are things we think should die. And their deaths should not be mourned. They have been dragged out now long enough. They have made headlines, and we need to move on, folks. Their lives are not that entertaining.
So we're briefly going to mention them just to give them their death sentence, and then we hope to never hear from these stories again from.
Anything that has to do with the Twilight affair.
Anything involving John Travolta's personal life.
Just a moment of silence. I feel better now.
Me too.
I feel better now. I actually wanted to discuss some of the Twilight affair, but because I don't understand it, but I'll just keep screaming in my head, and that's what my wife's for at home, so I'll talk to her about that.
Okay, well, now that we got that out of our system.
Okay, so I know we're running out of time, but I've got to bring this up. You bring up this thing, and we won't discuss it long. September movies that used to be September used to be the month they just dump movies into,
right?
Just to get rid of them, type of thing.
Right.
I think there will be success this September, and I'm going to read off the list that Jeff put together: the new Resident Evil, Judge 3D, The Master, Looper, Hotel Transylvania, We Won't Back Down, and Trouble with the Curve. I am really excited about Looper, and this goes back to the Joseph Gordon-Levitt thing.
Right.
But I'm really excited about that whole thing, and I like if you can do a time travel movie, and it's so hard to do it without holes. I think it'll be good, and I think that this one's got a chance. But in Hotel Transylvania, it does look funny, and there's enough Johnny Depp fans out there to go see this movie too. So.
Yeah, and there were more out there as you kind of look at the list, and maybe some of these won't make it, but these all could be a lot of fun at least, and make make money.
And Resident Evil's got a following already,
right?
You know, and I wouldn't be surprised if you see a lot of people maybe who saw the original Judge Dredd stuff in the '80s that maybe are going to come out to see the new 3D one. Just you know, who knows? They might bring out a new genre of people coming to the movie.
And that's what was funny to me is I remember the big Stallone movie that was a flop in the '90s or whatever. But there seems to be a lot of hype. I haven't seen anything on this yet, but I just hear a lot of people talking about it.
Right.
So.
All right. Any other last minute things you want to throw in there?
I think the only last minute thing that'd be nice to throw in there is, you know, we talked about movies, but you know we'll talk about technology at some point too. Steve is a big Google guy. I am an Apple person, and so we have a good kind of counterpoint stuff for you there.
Right. I have an Android phone. If my laptop could be an Android laptop, it would be. It's a PC right now. It's missing its space bar because my son yanked it off and broke it.
Right.
He is all Mac and all that, and so we'll be able to have our arguments back and forth. I'm liking it because after watching all of the Google I/O stuff,
right.
I'd like to be able to call myself a fanboy. I've never called myself a fanboy about anything.
Okay.
I enjoy movies, I enjoy cooking, I enjoy all these other things, but I'm like, no, I think I could be a Google fanboy.
Right.
I've been a fan for a very long time, and I'll get into some of my backstory later of when my first introduction to Google. I lived in Flagstaff. I remember when I first started using Google and why.
Oh, that was
it. It involved when I
wow.
lived in Flagstaff,
Okay.
and it involved the movie AI.
Oh,
That's
wow.
how long ago it was.
Okay.
Because they had a whole internet game thing going on, talking about AI, getting people excited about it in the background that's happening. You know, that they had a whole role playing type thing. But anyways, so I've got a big history. So I think I can call myself a fanboy, but we'll find out over the next few episodes and see if that's true or not. So
yeah, and I definitely got to keep up on my reading on Apple, so I can make sure and have a good counterpoint for you.
Okay, good. Otherwise, I'm just going to tear you up.
I know.
I
like
it.
I don't want to look weak.
Yeah, we don't need any guests on that might be Apple experts or anything that'll throw me down. So
Right. So anything else?
No, I hope you've all enjoyed. I've enjoyed just talking about things that I like. I hope you found it entertaining. We've got some entertaining things for you.
Yeah.
That we hopefully agreed and disagreed on things. And we'll continue on with this. But I've had a good evening so far.
Yeah, and we will be back in a week or two or whatever this ends up being. But keep the discussion going. We'll post stuff on our website. Feel free to email us or post stuff on our webpage. Respond to articles. Or hit us up on Facebook and so on. So we'd love to hear from you guys and continue the conversation going.
Yeah.
So
till then, I'm going to try and watch one of my zombie movies on my queue. So on Netflix.
Okay, sounds good. All right, bye.
Good night.
Hey, you'll listen to another show on the 4-Odd Radio Network. For more shows, you can go and check out 4oddradio.com. LSA.